Hey everyone, and welcome back to the ATD Movie Channel on YouTube. This is my first ever video game review, and today I'll be talking to you about Sonic Mania, the latest 2D platformer in the long-storied Sonic the Hedgehog franchise. I'll share with you what works and what doesn't work for me in this review, and let's jump right into it. So you could easily find a million reviews that dive deep into this game, endlessly dissecting it in every way imaginable. And before I jump into the game itself, I'll touch on the Sonic franchise as a whole. I think that many of you watching were first introduced to Sonic when you opened up that beautiful new Sega Genesis console back in 1989, just like I did. Sonic the Hedgehog was bundled with the console back then, and it showed us the antithesis of Mario and the NES console as a whole. This was a bright, beautifully designed game with better graphics and faster processing power than Mario and the Nintendo Entertainment System. And the way the hardware company crashed and burned in its later years has been well documented, but Sonic has persevered. There have been countless sequels, crossovers, and more. Some good, but most of them bad. And in comes Sonic Mania. Let me tell you what I liked about the game. I have to say that I'm having a blast with this game. I'll start with what I liked. First is the design of the game and its levels. Sonic, Tails, and company have never looked so good. The retro 2D design of the game and its levels are spectacular. The retro 2D animation is both contemporary in its color palette, but nostalgic in its design. The main characters pop in every world in which they inhabit. The level designs are fantastic. They're challenging, fast-paced, but fun enough to encourage replayability. I found myself revisiting different parts of the levels just to make sure I didn't miss a few extra coins or a possible power-up. And speaking of power-ups, there are a few really cool new ones in this game that you haven't seen in previous Sonic games. They certainly give you an advantage, but they're not so overpowering that you feel like you're cheating in any way. And when talking about the fun factor and replayability, I think it's important to note that the game's mechanics are incredibly responsive. The physics of the game only take a few minutes to get used to, much like riding a bike again for the first time in a long time. You always feel like you have control over Sonic, and you get mad at yourself when something goes wrong because you know that it's your input that caused you to start all over again. I also really enjoyed the music in this game. It varies from world to world, but it certainly feels familiar. You can't help but close your eyes and wonder if it was the same music from the Sonic games all those years ago. Another really cool aspect of the game is the variety of gameplay. The regular game levels provide you with a generous helping of checkpoints, and at those checkpoints you're able to play mini games. The most common is a 3D sphere where the goal is to get as many of the blue bubbles as possible while avoiding the red ones. It's challenging and fun and harkens back to a few of the older Sonic games. And I gotta be honest, it frustrated the hell out of me every time I messed up and I had to start over. There's also a minigame where you chase a UFO through a 3D world, and an obvious callback to Dr. Mario, where you drop ooey gooey blobs of mush, I guess, into a Tetris-style arena. These minigames are fun and a nice break from the regular levels. There's only a few things that I thought they could have done better, and only one thing I'll mention here. Not to sound like a hypocrite, but the levels were too long in some respects, and they felt unfair. I know, I said earlier that they were well designed and beautiful to look at, and they are, believe me, they are. But the levels are too long in some places, and took me upwards of 15 minutes each compared to other levels that were only 6 to 8 minutes each. And in regards to the sphere and the UFO minigames, they felt difficult, but not to encourage replayability, but to almost frustrate the player. Believe me, this is a small complaint and it's by no means a deal breaker, but it's something worth mentioning. There's a lot to love for the fans of the franchise, young and old. Those like me who experienced Sonic for the first time in the late 80s will feel a sense of satisfaction with this retro-style gem. And those new to the franchise will be delighted with how easy the game is to pick up and master. I'm not sure what grading system I'm going to be using long term, but for now, I would confidently give Sonic Mania an A-. What do you think about Sonic Mania? Is this the game that you've been waiting for? Or was it a letdown compared to the big AAA blockbusters that we've all become accustomed to? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to hit that like button, it helps me out a lot. Subscribe to the channel to be notified of content uploaded regularly, and you can find other gaming related videos on the channel as well. Thanks for watching my first ever video game review on the ATD Movie Channel. I'll talk to you soon.